Good afternoon from San Francisco, where it's shortly after 1 in the afternoon, 1300. We are live again, as usual, on Tuesdays and Fridays from the Beach Street Yacht Club here in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District. Co-host Julia is here. I trust you're well.
I am.
Any hot tips? Not
No.
this early in the show?
No.
I'm your host, Tom Eamon. So we got the Tom and Julia show. We've got Jody Shields with us live from Wanji, and he'll be checking in with us in just a moment as we get into this show number 889. We're at the starting line. Happy Tuesday, everybody. And happy National Day, Julia, for what country in the sailing news these days?
Oh, I don't know.
We'll get to that in a second, but think about that. Also, thanks to Super Fozy Jody Shields from Australia, who did such a nice job on Sunday with our commentary, our watch party. A lot of people tuning in for that to watch Sail GP's final, the grand finale, the grand final from Abu Dhabi, our watch party on Zoom. Thanks to all of you who joined us. We have a special this day in history, Julia, from 1971. That was Magnus Wheatley's birth year. Remember that? We celebrated that on Friday's show. We're back to 71 again.
Aha.
The year I graduated from high school, as if that makes any difference. Bravo Zulu. Emirates GBR, of course, has won the U.S. $2 million Sail GP finals in Abu Dhabi. We've got Jody Shields for analysis and more insight. He's on live with us from Australia. John Emmett's Coaching Corner will follow that. What is fair racing and how to achieve it? John's talking about as he's wrapping up in Villamora to head back to the UK before going to Australia himself. Then we're going to feature the Aussie 18-footer league. Sunday's race 6 was abandoned. It was blowing dogs off chains, oysters off rocks, either way you prefer. It was breezy, and they ended up abandoning the race, but we got some great footage both from that and from about 3 weeks ago. And then the last leg today, we're going to talk about the Inclusion Championship, World Sailing's new event, first ever Inclusion Championship, which starts tomorrow, the 3rd of December, in Oman. Of course, Fozy Focus, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and of course, Julia.
Fantastic Fozy.
Our fantastic Fozy as we check in. Speaking of Fozy, everybody in the chat. Blake Sail, that's Blake Middleton up in the land of now 11,842 lakes. Their state claim is 10,000. He's up in Minnesota. Dockside Curmudgeon, greetings from snowy Michigan. That's Jeff Kitson, a.k.a. Dockside Curmudgeon. He's on his YouTube today. There is Larry from the FIDI. Nice to see him on. Peter Taylor, also from New York City, the FIDI in New York City, I should have said. And Alistair Murray up and at him, as is Jody. Well, it's 8 o'clock now in Sydney. This time of year, we are off daylight time, and they're on daylight time down under, so we're only 5 hours apart. Of course, it's their Wednesday morning. Good morning, Mr. President, to you, Alistair Murray, Ted Ryman in Cape Town, Chris Exley from Chile, Salem, Mass., just north of Boston, Peter Rechenberg. Hello, also from Australia, in Geelong. Ed Vitrano is in the house. He's up in the Delta here, not far from us in San Francisco. Alan Long saying hi to everybody from Texas, from Lago Vista in Texas. Thierry DeYoung down in SoCal. Blake Sail, sweet colors today, Julia.
Aha.
Jody saw that when we were doing the brief tech check. He said, man, you look like red, white, and blue, but that's really German, not the U.S. Tell us about that scarf and that club.
Yeah, it's the Norddeutsche Verein.
Norddeutsche Regatta Verein, North Sailing German Society.
Yeah.
I was a member when we lived in Hamburg.
Yes.
And your husband, of course, he captained ships for Hamburg Süd, the big shipping line. Well, in any event, nice colors, nice club. It's the New York Yacht Club of Germany.
You said that. That's a good way to describe it. They also have a unique structure.
Structure of how?
Because the Commodore owns it.
No. Used to, maybe, but not
Used
now.
to.
Yeah, not now. No, the club now owns that property on the Außen Ulster, the outer Ulster, the two lakes in Hamburg. Who else is in the chat? Chris Fury is also in Australia, in Melbourne. And Don Lunabos is up in wine country in Sonoma. Lance Burke here in San Francisco. And sunny. Yeah, it is sunny for the moment, looking outside here. Cool. It's been cold.
Yeah.
Sunny but snowy, Saratoga Springs, New York, Jamie Hutchison. I don't know if it's sunny. I just made that up, Jamie. Clayton Embley is repairing sails and enjoying it, presumably in Kentucky. J. Frederick Bland down in Texas, pulling his chair up next to a fireplace. Ken Saban in northern Ohio, west end of Lake Erie, in Toledo, making ice they are on the Little Bay at night. Okay, they're getting ready to do some ice boating, maybe. Rick Banner in Chile, Connecticut, missed the blizzard by 75 miles, went north of him. That was the blizzard that hit Michigan badly over the weekend. Tom Fishbeck bragging about his wonderful 70 degrees in sunny SoCal down there in Newport Beach. Fritz Mueller where it's warm in Miami. Joe Holtzman up in snowy Estes Park. Man, a lot of people on here.
Yep.
Estes Park, Colorado, Joe is. And there's Vice Commodore Clary Harrington, soon to be Commodore of New York Yacht Club, saying good afternoon. Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin, hi from cold and damp London. And Blake Sale up in Blake Middleton up in Minnesota, saying cold is relative. In Minnesota, we know the real meaning of cold.
Yes.
And, it's much colder in Minnesota than it is in Michigan because we have the lakes sort of insulating us, at least until if Lake Michigan freezes, then it gets cold.
It gets really cold.
But if Lake Michigan doesn't freeze, the weather system comes from the west, crosses Lake Michigan, picks up a lot of moisture, dumps snow, of a lake effect snow on the west side of the state, and otherwise it's just Ed Kreisa, in fact, is in cold Detroit, but it's nothing compared to Minnesota, trust me. Not at all.
I believe.
Julie, we had a terrific, you were watching it up in the Commodore Suite, but on Sunday, thanks to Jody who came on, we had a watch party to Zoom. I didn't want to risk, ruffling any feathers of SailGP, Russell Coots, and so on, or CBS in this country, so we did it to Zoom, but we nonetheless had a nice turnout, had 30, 35 people on watching with Jody and myself on Sunday at 0200 our time. I still haven't recovered from this.
Me neither.
I've woken up at 0200 on Monday and again this morning.
Yep. Me too.
I did manage to go back to sleep this morning, but you won't be able to tell. I'm probably still crotonic. Jody is with us again. He's in Wanji, north of Sydney. And Jody, turn your mic up here. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
G'day, Tom and Julia and all the Fosies. Straight off the cuff, I apologise for my voice. I've got a bit of a man flu, and it's getting better. So how is everybody?
May I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
What is a man flu? What's the difference between a man flu and a women's flu or anyone else's flu?
Man flu has testicles.
He's got the word in.
I got it.
Julia, he got the word in. The drinking word, I understand that a number of the Fosie, when somebody says that word if and when, then it's time to have a toddy or so.
And that's mostly thanks to Jody.
So is a man flu worse than a woman's flu?
Absolutely. Probably the worst thing you can get in the history of the world. Okay,
well, I hope rum cures it. It's Wednesday morning. You haven't had any rum down there yet, have you?
No, not this morning. It's only 8 o'clock, and I've got to go to work, so I can't drive and drink. So,
well, no less an authority than Mr. Dr. Andrew McIrvin says man flu is much more severe.
Oh,
yeah, there you go. If a doctor says it, it must be true.
Got to be true.
It must be true. And that's like we used to say when we were young and sexist, chauvinists in the female misogynist sense of the word. We used to call heavy air. Strong Clark Chapin will vouch when we say this is real man's air. We're going out and we're going to sail, in breezy conditions. This is man's air.
Yes.
And notwithstanding, there are a lot of women who can sail better than I in that kind of breeze, or at least as well. Blake Middleton saying cheers to Wanji and to Lake Macquarie, Jody, and it's nice to have him on. Man flu is worse than man cold, Lance Burke says. The second worst disease.
Yeah, I actually believe man flu has been added to the Macquarie Dictionary.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure it's an actual thing now. If it's not, I just made that up.
David James across the bay over in the beautiful European city of Sausalito, most European city, I think, here in the Bay Area, says, as Dean Martin said, when you drink, don't drive, don't even putt. Chris Fury says man flu is the male equivalent of childbirth. I don't think it's that bad. Clay Embley saying a kick in the testicles is much more than childbirth. No one ever wanted a kick in the testicles twice. That's true. I didn't want a hockey puck. Even if when you're wearing a cup, it doesn't feel so good. Hairy-chested scow sailors, J. Frederick. Well, we'll leave it at that, Julia.
Oh, good.
But we did do this watch party on Sunday night with Jody and Wanji. We had a live with virtually no. Now we're back live. There was no latency. You and I were looking at the same pictures, as was everyone that was on the Zoom. That worked out well, I thought.
Worked out quite well. It was, and I had my Foxtel on here on the background, and it was about probably 3 or 4 seconds ahead of what we're watching. So it was great.
Oh, good. Yeah, that worked out well. And thanks again, Jody, for coming on. If anyone's wondering, or Wanji, as we've talked about it before, that's not the first time he's been on the show, but how long a drive, how far north of Sydney is Lake Macquarie and Wanji?
It's about an hour and a half up the freeway. By the time you get out of Sydney, it's only an hour. So it's not that far, but obviously the Sydney traffic makes it getting right into the city. Takes us about 2 hours to get to the airport on average, which is on the other side of the southern side of Sydney harbour. So, yeah, we're not too far from Sydney at all.
Serious question. Why do so many good sailors, I mean, it seemed like a half dozen or more of the top Sail GP people, not only skippers but also crew, are from or are living in Macquarie, Lake Macquarie up there in Wanji near you?
We have a really we went through this exercise not too long ago about the who's who of sailing that lives on the lake, and from anywhere from Tommy Braidwood to, all those sort of guys who've done offshore around the world. We've got Chris Nicholson's from here, and obviously Nathan and Goobs and Tom and Kyle Langford, and there's so many guys that are from Lake Macquarie, and it's a pretty big lake. It's 3 times the size of Sydney Harbour. It's a coastal saltwater lake, but we just have some really nice breezes here, and it's fairly shifty at times. So I guess, growing up sailing in Lake Macquarie, you just get used to, playing the shifts a bit, and we don't have much tide here. So when we go to Sydney and places like that, that was always a bit of a challenge because we never race against tide. But it's just a beautiful lake, mate. And, we have a lot of the Australian sailing team come up here and practice on the lake because it's not busy. When they go to Sydney Harbour, they're always busy with ferries and all that sort of stuff. But they come up here and race out of Wanji or wherever, and they just pretty much got the lake to themselves. And we often see the Australian sailing team here, doing some sort of a training camp.
Lance Burke he said, Wanji is a place? I thought it was a state, a state of mind.
Yeah.
Larry Kennedy, Larry 123 video on YouTube in New York City. He is the famous Colin Kennedy's dad. He's probably more famous than his son Colin, who's a hell of a good sailor and has been helping us with the Governor's Cup TV shows now for several years since he graduated from Gov Cup. Larry Kennedy asking, in regards to Jody's shirt, can he fix the cup?
Yeah.
What's I'll fix it, Jody? We'll give you a little plug here.
Oh, it's my new. I had a flooring business for a few years, and I'm sort of morphing out of that because I'm getting too fat and too old, and I'm getting into a property maintenance business, which I've been doing on and off for about 3 years.
Nice.
So we just ramped this up a little bit more, and we'll take the old fix it property maintenance out to anyone that needs a door handle tightened or anything that has to happen.
Julia,
yes,
we could use a little of that around here at the Beach Street Yacht Club.
We certainly could.
We could fly Jody in here for a week, ply him with rum. Maybe we'll pay him something, but you probably get some good service.
Oh, probably so.
Huh?
Probably so.
I'm heading over there in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Canada, so I'm not too far away.
Okay. We might take you up on that,
Yes.
Jody. Fritz Mueller is saying Wanji. He's been to Wanji on my drive to Brisbane. Beautiful area, and the coast is stunning. Likewise, Blake Middleton's been up there. Alistair Murray, Mr. President, past president of Australian Sailing. He says, Wanji, the town they liked so much they named it twice.
It actually means Aboriginal, the local Aboriginal term for it is water, because we're a peninsula and we're surrounded by water, basically. So translate to Wanji Wanji.
I didn't know that. That's nice.
There you
So
go.
is that what that means? Water, water?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then Alistair Murray is saying the town they liked so much they named twice, as I just read. He said, Tom, please ask Jody to teach you how to pronounce, excuse me, Macquarie.
Lake Mac.
Lake Mac. Now, how do you say Macquarie?
Lake Macquarie.
Quarry. Like quarry.
Macquarie.
We'd
Quarry.
like a quarry like you dig rocks
You gotta
out
go.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kookaburra.
Yeah,
Cook.
well, I'm still trying to learn Wimbledon.
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon instead of Wimbledon. They all make fun of me for that. Gordon Smith checking in. Good evening. Sailing is a sport that welcomes everyone, and we take care of those on the water. Good point, Gordon. We do indeed. Another Aussie, Pedro Foiling Sailor, a.k.a. Peter Stevenson. Sorry I'm late. Trekking in the highlands of Threadbow. We'll listen in the background.
Where's Threadbow?
Jody, where's Threadbow?
Threadbow's south. So you head down on your map there. You keep heading further south towards Victoria, and it's in the high country where our Alps, our skiing and all that sort of stuff. So it's probably from Wanji to Threadbow. If I'm driving, I'm thinking probably about 9 hours, I guess.
Oh, that's
to
good.
get to Threadbow.
So it's well south of
It's
Sydney.
basically on the Victorian New South Wales border.
Mm,
That's where all our skiing happens here in Australia.
okay.
And they do during summer. It's really good for mountain biking and hiking and all that sort of stuff because all the lifts and the trails stay open, which I guess happens everywhere around the world. But yeah.
Okay. Well, Jody, Julia, this turned into a bit of a Fosey focus, so
Yes.
that's kind of nice to learn more about that corner of Australia and where Jody and many other sailors
I know.
either are from or are living now. Macquarie.
Macquarie.
Like a quarry you dig rocks from. Okay. Gordon Smith says that his Australian family live in Tamworth.
Yeah, so Tamworth's from where I am now, probably about a 4-hour drive. If you zoom out on that map and go north,
I can't do
Tamworth's
that. That's a slide.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tamworth's up in the
so it's well north.
out in the bush a bit, as we call it. It's the country music capital of Australia.
Ah,
Tamworth.
that's good
Okay,
to
the
know.
Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, well, let's carry on here, Jody. You did a fabulous job. I really appreciate what you did for us on that. There's a screen grab from you talking right after the Brits finished and won. And just to compare and contrast, Julia, his style with the famous Stevie.
Yes.
Watch and listen to this. This is how Stevie called the start of the grand final on Sunday.
Build the speed, you've got to accelerate the speed. The Rolex pole predictor sits aboard Slingsby's Australian boat. He's near that optimum place, but who's going to be foiling at the gun when that line turns white? Emirates turns towards the line. The black foils turn towards the line. Slingsby turns towards the line. Who's got it right out of the middle? It's Slingsby. It's now a race to the foils. It's a speed build, and the three-time champion Tom Slingsby, I think, is going to be first on the foils. Here they go.
Oh, my God. Jody? Now, you'd think poorly of me, Julia, if I didn't have a video of Jody
Yes, I
calling
would.
the start. Here
Yeah.
goes. The start.
I want to be on that line foiling.
Doesn't matter where?
Probably mid to low, but Dylan might squeeze through here and foil. Tommy's got the handbrake on, and so has Pete. So Dylan's probably going. Slingsby, has he nailed the start? I think he has.
He
So
got
he's
the start you
absolutely
wanted.
Got off the line great and foiling. So nice work there by Tom. He's just coming up to protect himself a little bit from the black foils rolling over him and probably squeezing GBR into the NZL, so then hopefully they can engage and slow themselves up here. So,
And which way do you want to go on this next leg?
it's one and in. It's got to be one and in. It's just you've got to hit them. It's that short. You just got to go across to the boundary, one jibe, and then set yourself up for. I haven't seen the bottom marks yet, but so these pair here now will start playing. So Dylan will have to bail out because of a boundary. So that'll possibly make him short to the bottom. And no, he's gone well early. So he's decided, well, I'm not going to catch him following him. And the course has definitely been lengthened. We've got like a 600 metre racetrack now, which is great.
Jody, not to blow smoke up your skirt, but that was needless to say, so much calmer
Yes.
than Stevie Morrison. Is that his name, Morrison?
Stevie Morrison, yeah.
And so not only calmer, but so much more
Clear.
informative,
Yes.
clear, and the things you want to hear, you want to know, not all that other gobbledygook.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous job. And that's the way the whole race was. I can sit here at 2 a.m. and still go back to sleep afterwards, not having been all
Yes.
hyped up by that just awful commentary. And it's the last time I'll say awful commentary this year about Sail GP. We had a nice turnout of people watching on our little private setup on Zoom, including the Commodore, soon to be Commodore, Vice Commodore now, and Richard Gladwell and Mary Jude. Toronto, you can see Andy Cox was on in Bermuda. And there were other people lurking. I mean, Julie, your name's not up there because you were lurking. And
I was lurking, yeah.
as were many other people. Lance said he watched both days with the sound off, not as good as Jody, far better than Stevie. Mick W. Yeah. Stevie Morrison sounds like the guy you want to shut up on the boat, Clayton Emily said. Fritz Mueller, I had to shut off the TV coverage, too much. No, yeah, exactly. For a Sunday morning, it would have been 5 a.m. for Fritz in Miami. But we had a nice turnout on the Zoom. Thanks to all of you. We had a bit of a word from Claire Harrington and also from Richard Gladwell and also from John Emmett, who's there in the upper right corner of that slide. He was on the water in Villamora. And then afterwards, I got this from Richard Gladwell from the sail. This quote he took from Sailing Anarchy from the forums about Sail GP. He said a long time ago, so that whoever this person, Richard didn't say this, but whoever he found this in the Sailing Anarchy forums, a long time ago, I lived in a great house with 3 other guys. One of our roommates having a girlfriend we named the Screamer because we were frequently serenaded in the late night hours by her rapturous melodies, Julia.
Uh-oh.
And he sent this to me and said, well, we may get a finger wag, but I said, it's so good, I'm going to put it in. The way Stevie Morrison gets this is now Richard talking, I think. Mm-hmm. The way Stevie Morrison gets so artificially excited at the start of every race sounds about the same as those late night melodies we are. I guess that was the original Sailing Anarchy commenter. Those two would be a good fit, Julia.
For a porn opera.
Finger wag, please.
Oh, my.
That's from Richard Gladwell. Thanks, Richard, for that. But again, thanks, Jody, for just a fabulous job. It was late in your Sunday night. It was nice that we were on the same time zone for a change. And thank you, the same day, I should say, not the same time zone.
I was going to say,
It was early hour Sunday morning and late his Sunday night, but at least it was the same day for a change. Mm-hmm. Clay Embley was thinking the same thing. Maybe Sail GP needs to ditch their... Where's my cough switch, Julia? That's my cough switch. My cough switch. Excuse me. Maybe Sail GP needs to ditch their chief hype officer. Yeah. Well, maybe Stevie Morrison's their chief hype officer. I don't know. No, thank you.
I think I mentioned to you on the watch party. I have been, as people may know, I was the commentator with Shirley Robertson on season 1, and we got eased out, unfortunately. But I have been included in some of the the emails and that about how they want you to talk and say that sort of stuff. So they do ask the commentators to try to hype it up, I guess, is the term. And how Stevie does that, that's on his thing. But if you talk to Stevie normally, and he doesn't normally like that. So I guess I'm sort of sticking up for them a little bit because they're being told off their bosses how to that they need to pump it up and make it sound exciting. But yeah, it's hard because you want to be able to appease your bosses, but you want to stay true to yourself, I guess, when you're doing commentary because you're trying to explain it to people who are out there. The old Peter Montgomery theory of try to get the lady who's never watched sailing, the 80-year-old grandmother to enjoy sailing, and PJ was my absolute hero when I was growing up, watching this America's Cup, and And I was really fortunate enough to meet him in Bermuda when we were there for the America's Cup, and I got to interview him. And I must say, it was probably one of the coolest days of my life, interviewing Peter Montgomery. We're just sitting on a chair near the Princess Hotel, and I'll send you a link to it one day if you want. And
love it.
You know, he's a true legend and a true champion. And I tried to do a little bit of the PJ thing, you know, put some silly little quotes in here and there and whatnot. But that's my style. And you know, Stevie and Todd Harris and that, you know, they've got their own thing, and you know, they got the gig, mate. So that's who we have to put up with, whether we like it or not, I guess.
He is the vocal memory of all that stuff. Peter is.
Peter Montgomery, he's an absolute champion of a bloke too. You know, he's one of the best.
He is indeed, if not the best. Great stuff. Yeah. Jody, great. And Claire has, I think, wrapped it up nicely for us. I could listen to Jody read the phone book.
Yes.
Well, Claire, I'm in New York. I'm in Canada for a couple of weeks if you want to come up.
Show number 889, Julie. We're closing in on 5.
What happened to 888?
888 was Sunday night. I count that as a show. I've got to put slides together. I've got to go effectively live. That's show number 888. Was Sunday night at 0200 with Jody commentating.
I didn't catch the show number.
That was it. 887 was on Friday. So, Julia, what are we celebrating today?
Well,
I said it's a national day of a country, sailing country. That's, well, it's not much of a sailing country, but it's been in the news apropos sailing a lot lately. Anybody recognize that flag? UAE National Day, the United Arab Emirates, of which Abu Dhabi is the largest, one of the 7 Emirates. This day commemorates the anniversary of the agreement that was signed by the rulers of the 6 Emirates, there was the 7th joined later, to create a single unified nation, the UAE, brought to life on December 2, 1971, and later joined by Ras Al Khaimah, better known as RAK, in 1972. This Day of Independence and Nationalization is an important one to celebrate. And of course,
it is.
What was going on there before? Who was controlling the Emirates before they formed the UAE for extra credit? Great Britain. And they're the ones who signed the deal. And they signed a truce, and that's why those states are called Chukul states. You learn all sorts of things.
Yes.
Blake Middleton, Abu Dhabi. We'll get into that in a minute, Blake, all those names, which I can't pronounce.
Bye, mate.
What? Say again?
Oh, my daughter just left. She said hooray.
Give her our warm regards. Speaking of warm regards, up in sunny but chilly Idaho, Mark Michelson is checking in, our weather guru for Sailing Illustrated. Nice to have him on. But continuing on here, celebrations in the local area include all the usual things: traditional costume, dance, music, poetry reading, food, and even falconry. Remember, that was a big deal. Still is. Falconry demonstrations and pearl diving. Informal street parades and family meals are another way to get connected. Of course, for many locals, the display of the colors of the UAE flag. If you had some green on, Julia, you would have been right in line there with the red and the black.
I
and
know.
A little green. For many locals, the display of the colors, red, white, green, and black, is an important part of showing support for this special event. And here is a little introduction to the UAE as it exists today.
What if I tell you, UAE is not a single country? Actually, it's made of 7 mini-countries called Emirates. They are Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, Al Quwain, Fujairah, and Ras Al Khaimah. Each emirate has its own ruler, but together, they form one country, the United Arab Emirates. And guess what? The president always comes from Abu Dhabi.
And of course, Abu Dhabi is not only the largest, but the richest. They've got oil. Dubai's very wealthy. They've got a lot of oil too, not so much the other Emirates. Now, for extra credit, speaking of extra credit, where is that? Which of the Emirates is that? Anybody here or in the chat know?
Qatar.
No, that's not an emirate. That's a separate country. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman are all in the area, of course, but different countries. That is the famous or infamous RAK, Ras Al Khaimah, which translates to the head of the tent, headland of the tent. The Arabic word khaimah means tent, but also refers to the palm frond or arish houses that were common in the area. Now, why do I single out RAK? This is an aerial view of RAK City from I don't know how to say that, Kawazim, Corniche flagpole. Well, RAK, as I've mentioned before on the show, this is what RAK looked like in 2009 on the waterfront, where they wanted to host the America's Cup, the 2010 America's Cup, and where the SNG, Ernesto Bertarelli, first said they were going to run as the defender. They were choosing RAK, of all places, to run the America's Cup, the 2010 deed of gift match with Golden Gate Yacht Club. And this is what it looked like in August of 2009 when we sent a team there to go look at it to say, what the hell is this? How are we going to run a yacht race in this situation? The further you go up the peninsula, it's really a peninsula, the further you go up toward Iran, the lighter the air gets. Abu Dhabi's the breeziest, then Dubai's a little less breezy, and by the time you get up to the head of the tent, to RAK, there's hardly any wind. They had no infrastructure. The closest hotel was 20 miles away, and I just showed you what Sail World, what Richard Gladwell called in a headline in 2009, ground zero for the America's Cup. It was awful. Yeah, Clark Chapin saying the construction equivalent of that'll buff out. Yeah, the America's Cup almost was there. They had this marina by October completed, and they said, oh, yeah, we can do that. But we complained bitterly. We took them to court and said, you can't run it here. Golden Gate rejects that venue. We did. We went to court, and this was Richard Gladwell's writing in October of 2009. In Sail World, the GGYC, the challenger for the 33rd, has rejected the venue of Ras Al Khaimah, selected by the defender, SNG. Now, you'll ask, why did they choose that venue? Because the guy who was the technocrat that ran the place, you have the sheikhs that own it, and then you either have the Brits or the Swiss or the Germans or the Aussies or the Kiwis that actually come in and run a lot of the companies, a lot of the infrastructure, are the professionals that run these countries. And then, of course, they import lower key people from Bangladesh and India and tell me where else.
Some of my early clients were in
headhunting clients?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I believe it. So long story short, this was not, it was an armpit of the world. And we took them to court. We one of the 12 or 13 different court actions. It was more than that. And we said, we're not going there. This is a terrible thing. You're just trying. And the Swiss guy that was running the place was a good friend of Ernesto's. He knew him. And so we were going to have all sorts of problems with permits, with everything. Yeah. And of course, they were going to grease the skids for Alinghi. And we said, no way. Russell issued, as part of that statement, this quote, "The choice of RAK undermines SNG's abject failure in its responsibilities as trustee of the America's Cup," said Russell Coote, skipper and CEO of GGYC's BMW Oracle Racing Team. Quote, "It seems that the defender is prepared to go to any lengths to make this America's Cup a travesty." Long story short, in 2009, we prevailed, and the judge ruled from the bench and said, no, it's got to be in Valencia, full stop. And the event was in February of 2010, for Pete's sakes.
Yes.
It was coming up quickly. So we all went to Valencia, and that was where the event took place, and rather successfully. It was cold, but there was breeze, and that's the story of RAK. And I'm going to roll right here, Julia, and Jody, into a quick This Day in History, because we said what happened in 1971 is the theme of today's This Day in History. Julia, any idea? Do you need a clue?
No.
This gentleman, Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, who was the ruler, he was the BSD in Abu Dhabi. Mm-hmm. He's the one that pulled it together, negotiated with the Brits, got the neighbors, sorted out their neighbors, meaning Saudi Arabia and Oman, And Zayed grew up in the desert, learning the traditional Bedouin skills like falconry. In 46, he became governor of Abu Dhabi's eastern region, where he gained experience in governance. And apparently he was quite a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he subsequently became ruler of Abu Dhabi in 66 through a peaceful transfer of power supported by his family and British officials, who, of course, were in control in the time. In 71, Zayed played a key role in uniting the Trucial states, they call them, to form the UAE, becoming its first president. He used only in 71. He used the country's oil wealth to develop infrastructure. Oil was just discovered in the 50s, 60s, I guess. To develop infrastructure, education, and healthcare, Zayed also focused on settling border disputes with the neighboring countries, including the Saudis. So it was on this date in 1971 that he became president.
That's good to
first
know.
president.
Yeah.
He's sort of the George Washington of the UAE. Highly respected. And he also started the big sovereign wealth fund that helped make Abu Dhabi. And of course, our sport is benefiting from that now.
Absolutely.
So, okay, that's the story. I wanted to get that in for extra credit. And again, one of the reasons why I'm focusing on this, because next year, how many SLGP events, Jody, are in the UAE in season 6 in 2026?
3, he says.
Is it 3 or is it 2?
That's 2.
I think they were talking about 3, and I think they've dialed it back to 2 now. And here is the calendar for next year.
They're going to Dubai, are they? And then the Abu Dhabi final.
Exactly. The Yabba Dabba Doo.
Mm-hmm.
The Flintstone
final.
The Flintstone final. So there it is. And you can see those last 2 events. Going to be light air, again, presumably in November, where they will be in Dubai. And then just the following weekend, in one weekend, they're going to move the circus to Abu Dhabi, presumably to the same place where they held it this past weekend. So the last 2, as Chris Exley is saying, yes, you're right, Chris. And that's, I think, another reason for us to be thinking about focusing a bit on the UAE, because our beloved sport is spending a lot of time there, and they are spending a lot of money on our sport, including what's going on starting tomorrow in Oman, which we'll cover in the final leg of today's show.
I was very critical, Tom, about the Saturday racing, as I think most of the sailing public was. It was just the light airs, and to have the final in such a light air venue. And I get we have to go there because Mubadala and Emirates are throwing decent cash at Sail GP, but geez, to have the final, when it's everything's on the line in these locations it's hard to fathom. You know what I mean? Like, San Francisco is the perfect place for the finals because it's normally reliable wind. But anyway, we dodged a bullet, I guess. This one having a good Sunday. We got foiling conditions, and the final race was a good race where everyone changed leads and everyone had a crack at taking it off. So, I guess when we look at it in that way, we go, well, was it a success, or do we just wash off the Saturday racing as one of those things? Because any venue can be light.
Well, even to be fair, even San Francisco was light.
We had that day 2 years ago. We had the real light final where the whale stopped the racing for a bit.
Oh yes.
They come out of off the shoreline there, and it was really fluky. But the one thing we can't dial in is the breeze. As we all know, it's not normally like these conditions. And
but you're right. You can pick venues that are normally this time of year have some breeze, and normally this time of year it's super light in the Emirates, as we all know. And as Lance is saying, the Saturday event was a molasses covered crouton.
It was horrible.
Oh,
it
God,
was so hard to watch.
Did they
300-meter legs and just.
Did they ever foil?
Really exciting.
On Saturday, did they ever foil up or down?
No one foiled. I think Sail GP put out there one of one of their best performance. They put the graphic at the end of the day and have best skipper, best tactician, whatever else, and flight control. I think it was 0.04%.
No,
was the best flight control.
Yeah.
So someone somewhere got a little bit of air under their hull for 0.04% of the day. So no,
that was the flight time.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah,
the flight percentage.
I mean, and they were 3 up on Saturday, and with the new wings and the new foils, and they still couldn't get the boats foiling. So
couldn't get it up, Jody. Julia, excuse me, forgive me.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get it up on Saturday.
Couldn't get it up.
Barely foiled on Saturday. Fritz Mueller is saying Saturday was brutal to watch, but Stevie was still yelling. Groover says, Steve, that's a great comment. The root canal of televised sailing. But Ed Vitrano's right. You don't want the finals here in San Francisco in November. You can have conditions essentially like that here. You want it someplace where it's reliably windy and iconically beautiful, right, Julia?
Absolutely.
Okay, Jody. Well, enough of that. And you were critical, but so was everybody else in the world. And I guess the problem is that we are now following the money. And the same thing's happening in Olympic sailing. We go to these super short races. We just had this event in Marseille for political reasons, the Olympics, last summer. And they were terrible there. And we knew they were going to be terrible. Everybody who's been ever sailed in that part of the world knew it was going to be god-awful, and it was.
Yes.
We've got to be careful as a sport. I know the cup, you were talking about the cup before and all that sort of stuff, but we've got to be careful that we're not selling our soul, our core sort of values of sailing to venues, because from the outsiders looking in, the sport looks ridiculous. So if we take it to venues where the money is, that's well and good, but then to try and get people to come into the sport, to go, what's it about? Well, it's supposed to be high speed foiling boats that are, on the razor's edge, all the garble that they talk, yet they take them to venues that don't have that. So we're sort of talking up in one hand, and in the other hand, we're going to chase the money. And I think we're losing now our identity as sailing to chase the TVs and the corporate money. And I think that's where we really need to focus on, let's just stay true to our sport. And, if people want to watch our sport, well, then they've got to learn it, and we'll take them to venues where there's wind, and because sailing in no wind isn't good.
How'd Kayard put it when he was on the show? Paul said we're losing. He did that story about being on the plane with somebody from the ski world and saying, you guys are losing your soul.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
what Jody's saying. Even Mr. Positivity, John Emmett, is saying the same thing. We got to run the events where you have a good chance of the sailors having a good event. I mean, after all, it's the sailors that ultimately we're doing this for. Okay, enough of that. Let's carry on here and then get into a full-on report. Jody, good point as always. And this is our FOSI focus for today. Very brief. Friends of Sailing Illustrated. We're going to start doing this now. It's December. This is our first show in December, Julia.
Wow.
So we got to start doing this. I did this a few years ago everybody loved it. We did Christmas cards from FOSI to all of the FOSI, and we called it Season's Greetings. So we'll start that up again, and we have one today.
Good.
We have our first Christmas card from our FOSI, Super FOSI, down in Long Beach with his ridiculous hat, but famously ridiculous. Everybody loves that hat.
Yeah.
And that is, of course, Sarah and John Sangmeister down in Long Beach Yacht Club, down in Long Beach, a beautiful home right there around the corner from the club on Alamitos Bay. And he's got his New York Yacht Club tie on. He's very proud of being a long, long time member of New York. And Sarah, the super lawyer that she is, and John, the restaurateur. Happy holidays. Season's greetings from the Sangmeisters to all of you. And I'm sure we wish them the same. Okay, we'll do that. So if anybody wants to send in a Christmas card or a Hanukkah card or a Kwanzaa card, we'll run it in the FOSI Focus, won't we, Julia?
We will.
We will indeed. Okay, let's get into Sail GP in earnest, because then we got to let, he's got his...
I just want to look the part.
I thought you were going to wear that now that we were doing comment and analysis on Sail GP. We started the event with the 2025 season leaderboard. As you probably, most of you know, Emirates GBR were on top with 85 points. The Black Foils, the Kiwi team, were on 82, the Aussies on 80, and there was an outside chance that Julia's favorite team, Los Cayos, the Spanish team, might make it into the final three, but it was not to happen. Diego Botín there on the right had a shocker of a day.
He did.
Didn't he?
Well, I couldn't see it, so I didn't know if there was anything obviously wrong. But
the condition, Jody says the conditions were just so rotten, weren't they, Jody?
Oh, they were horrible, and because the racetrack was so tiny and there was so much disturbed air from the new 28 and 27.5 meter wings or whatever they are. If you watch the races back, the people that got to the edges done really well, but if you were stuck in the middle trying to get back down to the course and whatnot, there was just nowhere to go. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. But Tommy bashed the Spain up a little bit. He knew that all he had to do was beat the Spanish. He didn't care if he come second last, as long as the Spanish come last. So that was their mindset. It reminded me a lot of what Ben Ainslie did to the French in season 2, I think it was, of Sail GP in San Fran. He just had to beat the French, and he just wouldn't let them go, and just made life miserable for him on day one. And then they, he just couldn't wash it off there, the French team. So it reminded me a lot of that, what Tom did to the Spanish team. I mean, Tom had a few shockers. Australians broke the start a couple of times because they believe they had software issues. But there was still enough that Spain weren't out the front of the pack because they were probably too focused on trying to beat Australia and not focused on just eyes in front, and then let Australia play their own race. But those boys will definitely learn from that. They're pushing it uphill regardless, because you've got to try and beat the Australians in the whole week, and I think it was by 1 place or 4 places. Might have been 4 places. Anyway, they had to beat them. So they had a bit on the Spaniards to get in, but unfortunately they didn't do it.
Well, and it did come down to that last fleet race when the Spanish were surprisingly, I think they were DFL in that race. And Tom
they come off the finish line, off the start line last with the Aussies, and then they end up in third. And if they'd won that race, and Australia stayed at the back.
But Tommy was back in the back.
He was last. He was dead last at one stage. I remember he was drifting across, trying to get downhill, and the Spaniards were already on the work. I think they actually lapped them. I think at the bottom gate, Spain come around and pretty much lapped them as Aussies were trying to go uphill for the first time. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, here we go. This could be the end of the Australians here. It's, the red mist is going to be flying out of Tommy here. But, I think it was the USA maybe and France. It was Rockwell and France. Done well in that last race, and if the Spaniards had won, it could have been a whole different.
Well, they could have gotten in ahead of the Aussies, but Ed Vitrano and Steve Atkins are both on a question I was going to ask you. Ed says he's read comments elsewhere that the top 3 were so slow because they were tag teaming against Spain. Steve Atkins is saying, well, covering the competition for the win is just what you do. But do you think there was a bit of team racing going on, that those top 3 Anglo teams were beating up on the Spanish?
Well, I never thought of it that way, but just thinking on the run, quite possibly, because a few interviews prior to the regatta, they asked all the skippers who you'd rather, who you wouldn't want in the final. Dylan was, typical splitters. He didn't say anything. He just said, I'll beat them all. Pete brushed it off in his, in his way. But Tom actually said, if anyone, he wouldn't want the Spaniards in there, because he said what they did last year. You know, once they're in there and they're quick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were, so it could well be, mate. You know, it could well be that all the other teams said, right, well, let's give these guys a hard time, and that way they don't go back to back, and it's, you know, it'll fight out of us three. I don't know. Sounds good. It's good theory.
Well, that was there was a lot of chat in various fora. Is that the plural of forums? Foras, or fora, or forums?
It's just so hard with that starting box. It's so small. I mean, it's so close to the wall, and it's like 300 meters from the wall to the start box. So when you got sort of 12 boats in there trying to get some sort of fresh air, you know, it wouldn't take it much at all for 2 teams or 3 teams to push one out. And I know they tried to start a lot at the top, Spain, but they were getting boxed out a lot up there. So yeah, everyone was just searching for clear air, and unfortunately Diego didn't.
Yeah, often he has lurked in the back of the fleet and then gone straight through it by the end of the race.
Which is tough. The lighter it gets, the tougher that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't there's just too much disturbed air. You know, if the wings just push out so much turbulence, and you just can't get good flow across your wings to get them going. You know, so it'd be like, you know, a sail with a flappy sail letting your traveller out and just sitting there with, you know, no drive at all, because that's how the wings work. If there's not flowing across the wings, the boats don't move. You know, so anyway,
Jody,
it was.
How about this? There was a lot of discussion on Friday, and
Yeah.
we all knew this was a bit of a hype up, a stir up, because that, of course, was the finger apparently damaged on Wednesday when he got his finger involved in one of the dagger foils, one of the boards, going up and down. This was the press conference on Thursday. Tom Slingsby, of course, on the left, and that was Pete Burling's finger and apparently a bit of the tip got nipped. I don't know how much of it, no one will say. Dylan Fletcher there on the right, those were the big 3. That turned out to be a nothing burger, eh?
Yeah, so what happened, from what I believe, they had a problem with their lock on their dagger board, and Pete went in to try and release it. They weren't sailing, obviously. They were just in sitting around mode, and got his finger caught in the lock, in a mechanism of the lock, and literally chop and rooney the tip off, and it was a clean cut from what I've been told, and it was just sitting on the boat, and then Liv Mackay had to pick it up, and they took it in.
Did they find it? They found the tip?
Yeah.
Oh, they did? Did they sew it back on? Do you know?
No, I don't think they sewed it back on. From what I believe, they saved the nail or something off it, but it was so it wasn't as.
How do you get to know that?
Well, he's talking to all the sailors. He's talking to, he's got his big mate Nathan Outeridge. Not that Nathan would tell him this, but any number of people. He's very. That's why we get him on here. He's very well connected, Julie.
He is.
But yeah, apparently it was. If there was breeze, Pete would have been in trouble sailing wise, because they've got to do so much. In the manoeuvres, he would have been really struggling to being able to hold on with that hand and do. I think it was his right hand. So depending on what side of the boat he is, he's got to press buttons and all that sort of stuff during jibes and tacks and whatnot. So he's at one finger less, and you got that old muscle memory thing going on, and his fingers big and bandaged. And if you've ever seen the buttons on an F50, they're all pretty small. They're no bigger than maybe a stamp, I guess. And some of the sailors put different things on them just so they can feel that it's like, I know CJ has a nut and a washer on his, so when he feels it, he knows which one it is, so he doesn't have to look down. But it's if there was breeze, it would have been interesting to see what happened to Pete.
Jody, here's a couple other comments from people who know. Dogzilla Monster, excuse me, AK Stingray up in Seattle said what really hurt Pete during the final was him suddenly catching the woman flu. Was he crook, as you would say?
Oh, I haven't heard if he was crook or not, but I did speak to Leo yesterday. Leo was devastated. He, they were really, I think, because they give the final such a good shot. And, they were leading at one stage, and then the Brits done the Houdini act, and he was devastated. They were pretty confident that they were going to, take the bickies out of that one. So, yeah, anyway.
Okay, but hang on, that's Leo. Most everybody will know that's Leonard Takahashi, Leo Takahashi, and his dad is on here, Rob Fry, talking about Pete's finger. He's saying it's not hype. It was not hype. And he can't say any more than that, but apparently Rob Fry, Leo's dad, and of course Leo is was he the wing trimmer or the flight? He's the flight controller, right?
He's the flight controller. And good on to Leo. While we're talking about that, at the start of the year, he was getting bashed up by everyone saying he wasn't good enough. And, he took Andy Maloney left to go to the Brazilian team. And Leo wasn't good enough to do the job. And every time New Zealand had a bad result, they'd put it on Leo and so on and so forth. But he's just been awarded the People's Choice flight controller for the year. And when you think about who he's up against,
wow.
Parko and Jason blank from Australia. Those sort of guys. And to take that award, it's pretty cool. So, I spoke to him yesterday, congratulated him. I said, keep your head up, mate. I said, you're a young fella and you've been thrown into a bloody high-profile team, and I think they've been going quite well. So,
well, plus he's the one, their team, and Leo doing flight control. They're the ones that won on Saturday. It was a bit of a minor victory, but he's the one that kept that boat foiling more than anybody else, apparently. I mean, he and Pete and the wing trimmer.
Yeah. I mean,
Tom Evans is saying you're thinking of Jason Waterhouse.
Waterhouse, that's it. Yeah, it's my man flu kicking in. My brain's not working.
That's okay. Bannerow thinks that his finger was a bit like Sir Lancelot getting his fingertip nipped trying to undo Guinevere's chastity belt.
Oh.
Just saying. Julia, give him the finger wag, huh?
A bit too far.
Rick Bannerow. That was a good one, though. He gave Jody a chance to gather himself. Yeah, bravo Zulu to Leo, to Leonard Takahashi, who is, he's your boarder. He goes up there and stays with you, right, for a few days and ends up staying for a month.
He came over here a couple of years ago now for an event and asked if he could stay for a week, and I think we ended up having him for 3 months.
Oh, I remember that.
So, he's part of the family now whenever he comes here, and it was during the COVID times too when he couldn't get back into New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
New Zealand was in such a high lockdown. So we put him up, which was great. He was no troubles at all. And my wife sort of, she loves it. She loves Leo. So
he's a fabulous kid. He and Jeffrey Peterson and Harry Price and these kids that have come through Gov Cup, and you can't get enough of them. And it's so nice to see them going on to bigger and better things, or maybe not better things, but even bigger things. And it's people like you and our beloved sport who take care of kids. Kids or otherwise that come in and need a billet, as the Canadians say. Right. We used to billet all the time. Clark Chapin, and we'd go someplace and sailing in a regatta and stay in people's homes, and we house people here. Julia, you've housed people here.
Forever.
Judges and forever here at the Beach Street Yacht Club in one room or another. Yeah, love it. Alan Long liked Bannerow's comment, Julia, so they got a finger wag. Jody, let's carry on here, talk about a little more about the weather. That was evening time. They left the boats in, as they often do in light air venues. And Saturday, it was light. It was 7, the forecast was 7 to 13, and it got nowhere close to 13, let alone 7. At 2 o'clock, the racing was local. And it was what, maybe 4, 5? What was do you think?
It was super light, and they had that bloody ridiculous situation where they can raise and lower the foils. They call it just the rowing. And Yeah, they were doing that. That's how light it was. So they can do that. I think it's three times.
There's a rule, right? The umpires put it.
Yeah, it's like 3 times every 5 minutes or 3 times a minute or something ridiculous, where they can raise the windward foil up and down, which creates forward momentum. I mean, that in itself is just I don't know.
I know.
I would rather see them, because these new foils just literally bolt onto the bottom of the to the foils themselves. Take the horizontal off and send them out with no horizontal.
If they're not going to foil.
Well, they're not going to foil.
Right. Get rid of the drag.
Get rid of the drag and get rid of this ridiculous situation where you can lift your foil up and down to promote boat speed. I mean, that's just full on ooching. That's not proper.
Ooching, pumping, rocking. In fact, Rick Banderos says that according to the commentary from Stevie Morrison, he said that they were doing it 6 times a minute, but it wasn't that. I know they put a limit on it. The judges put a limit.
It could be 6 a minute, because I know Tom blew up at one stage wanting to know where he was on. So that's on the coaches. They can talk to their coaches back in the booth, and they had the audio on the Aussies at one stage, and he wanted to know how many he had left in the cycle.
That's like every 12 seconds.
Yeah, well, that's
every 10 seconds.
Yeah, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and I think we seen it last year. And they, like, a couple of teams switched onto it, and then the league said, righto, that's enough.
Yeah, we saw in L.A. Remember that the first regatta last year when it was super late in L.A. and they were in Chicago maybe too, I can't remember. But it was, to be sure, it was light on Saturday, and they barely foiled at all. Apparently, Leo Takahashi and the Kiwis got up at one point for a second.
0.04 of a percentage.
And what's the new terminology? H1, H2, not to be confused with H4 with Harry Melgus, but
just
one
H2.
hull, 2 hulls, and no hulls. What's the terminology now? If you're up, if both hulls are in the water, that's what, H2?
H2.
If one hull's up, H1.
Popping is foiling.
And if you're foiling, you're foiling. That's not
popping. They'd say let's pop. And they just get the boat speed, which I think is about 15 knots or 30 bloody kilometres an hour, whichever way you want to talk about it. But you need about 15 knots of boat speed to get it up to foil on the big configuration foils. So, which is good now, because that number was a bit higher. So these foils have definitely made a difference.
Yeah, Alan Long agrees with you. Good point, Jody. Get rid of the horizontals in light air. If they're not, of course. Problem is that if the breeze does pick up, if the breeze does come up, they're going to want the horizontals on, because they desperately, the crowd, the television desperately want to see these boats foil. So if there's any chance.
And I mean, we had the situation where the I think it was Spain smashed into the back of the New Zealand boat and done all the damage to their foil, because they were, they're in H2 mode and they drifted around the back of them. Because you've got this foil hanging out the side, that's smashed into the rudder of the New Zealand boat and done a lot of damage. I mean, that doesn't happen when you're not in those close quarter racing without foils hanging out the side. So,
Jody, here's a question from Andy Cox in Bermuda. What happened to the idea of putting a small motor on the Sail GP fleet to counter light conditions, or am I having a senior moment?
No, there's definitely been discussions about that. There's a little electric motor that they've been trialling on the center pod underneath the wing. There'll be a little motor that they can deploy down into the water, and they're talking about getting thrust off that motor to create forward motion
to get the boats foiling.
Get the boats foiling, and then they're trying to get rules in place to when they can use it. You can't use it so many times, blah, 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 blah. But there's definitely been some discussions about that. There's a couple of little videos and drawings about it. But
a little boost like Formula One on the straightaway. A little boost. In fact, Alistair Murray is saying, Russell Coutts was telling me, Mr. President Alistair Murray down in Australia, about developing these small motors. He's replying to Andy Cox. to initiate
Yeah.
foiling. So that must be. I'll ping Russell and ask him what the latest.
It's like, the AC when they were towing boats in before the start. Then once you get going, then it's all about apparent air, like you're creating your own wind then. So as long as you can stay up foiling,
What have we done to our sport?
No, I keep thinking,
Julia, what have we done to our sport when you got to slingshot a boat into the pre-start because it's too light? If it's too light, don't run the bloody race. Have a gab fest or something, but don't. Oh gosh, darn. Okay, let's carry on here, guys. We're at 14:05. We're an hour and 5. We got to let Jody get off to work, and we got some other stuff, cool stuff to cover here. But on Sunday, the forecast was arguably even for a little less, but it did pipe up to what, Jody, 10?
Yeah, I think about 8 or 9 knots at one stage. I think it maxed out at, which was enough to get them foiling, especially off the start. If you did have fresh air, you could get off that start and bow down and get the wing pretty well juiced up to pop up and foil, and then they could, they're that good now. The foiling jibes, they can stay foiling, but we see that they still struggled even coming around that bottom mark. No matter which way they went, they still struggle to do a foiling tack. Most boats sort of drop down to one hull and then got the boat speed going again and then come back up on the foil. So at least that Sunday was better racing, more foiling conditions. Yeah, that's what we watch Sail GP for, is foiling. I don't watch it to go, these boats to be snail GP type thing, just drifting around in GP. I can sit out the front here and watch lasers and sabos and opties do that out here.
Yeah.
I don't get any enjoyment out of watching F50s drifting around. I'm sorry. It's just not,
Okay, well, let's, speaking of Sunday, let's watch the highlights of a short 2.5-minute video from Sunday.
The Rolex Sail GP Championship and the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Grand Prix delivered a thrilling grand final. Emirates GBR not only won the big $2 million prize, they topped the season standings.
What a race.
The story of the weekend, though, saw Los Gallos try to chase down the Bonds Flying Roos for a spot in the final 3, but ultimately came up just 5 points short.
They've put in a good performance and they've shown they're in that match. They're one of the big players.
The event was a fairy tale end for Rockwell Denmark by winning the Mubadala Abu Dhabi event title.
Nice work, guys.
They claimed their first victory in 4 seasons, and with it, a huge $800,000.
This is going to be an absolute classic.
The grand final was a true showcase of what makes Sail GP the best sailing league in the world.
The black foils turn towards the line. Slingsby turns towards the line. Who's got it right out of the middle? It's Slingsby. The 3-time champion, Tom Slingsby, I think, is going to be first on the foils. Here they go. Oh, they're off the foils on board the Bonds Flying Roos, and they've tried to press too soon. They didn't get foiling smoothly. Can the black foils stick this manoeuvre? Big gain to the black foils.
And it wasn't over until the final moments of the race.
Fletcher's masterclass there. He's got round. He's going to do right turn on the foils. Huge.
The Emirates winning moment goes the way to Emirates GBR. They are the Season 5 champions.
For Dylan Fletcher, he's made his mark in Sail GP since re-signing for the British team. The crew showed their incredible skills right when it counts.
To be honest, as soon as we went round the top gate, I was pretty excited. I think you saw testament to how close it is at the top. Any one of us could have won that race, and just very happy that it was us.
Jody, it was an exciting day, in contrast with Saturday. It was really fabulous racing lead, especially in that final race, lead changes. Even the Kiwis led for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And just before we get on to the final, I just want to give a shout out to the Denmark, Rockwell Denmark team. That was their first event win. They've never done it before. And I've sort of felt sorry for them in a way because it wasn't covered bugger all by the broadcast. They watched them the finish line. They didn't show them on the boat at all. They showed them briefly up on stage getting their wheel, but the whole focus on it was, to the final, which we had like 8 minutes or something to wait 9.5 minutes. So I would have thought they could have put a bit more emphasis on the fact that Denmark had won their first,
Totally agree. And the PR afterwards has been pretty good. Denmark had a nice story, and I've got a picture that I'm going to show in a moment. And also Magnus the Magnificent made some very nice comments in the Rule 69 blog, which I picked up and cut and pasted into the show. And I'll show you that in a sec. Totally agree, though, Jody. But the big three were the big three, and that racing.
Yeah, the big three. It was interesting. You've seen Australia got into the box early, which I was quite surprised with. But I guess his thought there was, let's see who's going to come and chase. And it looked like New Zealand and GBR engaged themselves a little bit with that, which allowed Tom to go around the bottom end of both boats and get that bottom shot or the pin end started on the start line, and he got spat out first, and he was up and foiling and got to the first mark first. But if you watch GBR's race, which I have done a few times since, on the fifth race of the weekend, so the first race on the Sunday, GBR did pretty much exactly the same race as what they did in the final. They jibed out early. After the first mark, they went across, set themselves up for the right-hand mark looking downwind, and then done what they call a JK, which is, around the mark attack straight away. But because of the course...
Hang on. That's an interesting historical note. Why is it called a JK, Julia? Remember?
John Kostecki.
Correct. And what he was doing here to not such good effect in San Francisco, going down the downwind right into the gate off Alcatraz and then turning and immediately tacking and losing several boat lengths to the other. Jody, I went to the cleaners. I mean, they finally followed yacht racing here in San Francisco when we had the Cup here in 2013. Fritz Mueller says, yeah, John Kostecki. And John was getting criticized on the broadcast and elsewhere. And I'd go over to the little Silver Fox Cleaners next to the Balboa Cafe where I do my shirts. And a little Chinese lady who's very smart, and she's a very great gal, Kim. And she said, Tom, what is going on with John Kostecki? Why does he keep doing that stupid move at the leeward gate? She didn't know her ass from her ankle about sailing, but she knew about the JK and that he was having. And this is what's so great about our sport. People are not dumb. They will figure it out if you use the proper terminology, if you explain the thing, if you talk about knots, if you talk about the turbulence coming off tall wings, yada, yada, yada. I mean, you could learn more from Jody right now watching the last hour and 12 minutes than you could ever from listening to the hype and horrible stuff coming off of the sail Jeep. Kilometers per hour.
Yes.
Jody, back to you.
Yes, they pretty much done. It was almost like a dress rehearsal on that first race of day two, and they worked out that if you did that JK maneuver at the bottom mark, and it got you up to the break wall a bit further, which got you in better pressure, which set you up for the
offshore, the next leg being offshore, which is how they won the race.
Yeah. So they did that on and they come from, they were fifth at the bottom mark in the race 5, and they led at the top from just doing that maneuver. And I reckon they learned a bucket load out of that. So, fast forward into the final, did exactly the same thing. They were third out of the first jibe mark, or first turning mark, sorry, and jibed away from New Zealand. And Australia and New Zealand went into the right-hand boundary to try and get the ley line down to the bottom gate, but they had to then choose which gate they wanted. And Australia went to the left, which was the shorter ley line to the wall, but it was really light, and they fell off the foils. New Zealand bailed out, and then GBR followed New Zealand, went to the right-hand mark looking downwind, went offshore and found breeze, and then set themselves up for that exact same play they did in race 5.
I mean, bottom line, the wall was deadly, right?
The bottom end of the wall was deadly. The top end of the wall. Yeah.
The Kiwis did well at the top end of the wall once. In the final race, that's how they got ahead.
Get in there with no boats around you. It certainly had a bit of strength about it. So that's where GBR done it in race 5, and obviously Hannah and Dylan put that in the memory bank, and it played out again for them in the final. And kudos to them. They're probably, everyone was predicting GBR to be the boat to beat. Probably maybe the most consistent boat towards the season. So it's not surprising they won.
Let's listen to the skippers. I've got a video of the aftermath from the top 3 skippers at least. Let's listen to that, and then we'll come back and hear Jody's final analysis.
Become the Rolex LGP champion.
It's unbelievable, to be honest. I think that to be racing here, not just taking out the grand final, but to win on points, win the Impact League, where we're all in the same equipment. It's just sailor versus sailor. I think it means an enormous amount.
That final obviously didn't win the start, but it was just one of those things where you had to keep chipping away, or did your plan just sort of come to fruition?
Well, we certainly said we were going to give it everything, and we put ourselves off the back at the start with an opportunity to win it. It didn't go our way, but we had already discussed that before the start of the race. We said it's marginal, it's light, it's going to be tricky. Just keep chipping away, keep doing the right thing, and we put ourselves nicely out of phase, and we've been working on that JK at the bottom, which gave us that opportunity. And to be honest, as soon as we went around the top gate, I was pretty excited.
I guess in that moment in the race, how did you sort of know that it was all going to come together, or was it one of those things that every foiling maneuver was going to count?
Everything was stressful, incredibly stressful. We're up against the best sailors in the world, and we'd seen, even though the FI and the teams in the top 3 hadn't necessarily performed amazingly this weekend from an overall perspective, I think we were all managing our own little battles as we did. So when it came down to it, I think you saw testament to how close it is at the top. Any one of us could have won that race, and just very happy that it was us.
And I think when looking back to Dubai, I remember doing your first interview and I was like, oh, well done for second. And you're like, yeah, I really want to win. So I guess now thinking that you've won the whole thing, how cool is that?
It's unbelievable. I still think, I look back on the season and go, oh, we gave away this there, we gave away this there. It feels like we could have done so much more. But it's nice that, we won on all the stats of the events and everything. So to come away and then take that pressure and win that grand final. We went into it going, well, ultimately, if someone said, you went into a lottery with a 33% chance of winning $2 million, you'd snap their hand off. So we just gave it everything, and win or lose, we would enjoy it.
Tom, obviously, such a tough final, great start. How do you feel like you raced that race?
It's a tough one. I mean, in hindsight, we didn't race it too well, but we got a really nice start. We wanted to be the boat that's out of phase, so we decided to jive into the start and do something a bit different. It worked. We got a great start, and then it's one of those tough ones where you're laying in left and the boat in second place behind you is laying in left. If you turn and go right, he's just going to go straight. No matter what, when you're leading, second place is going to do something different. And so we thought, let's just get a clean rounding, clean lap, try to be fast. And unfortunately we came out of that bottom mark in a big header, tacked over, and we got another big header and light pressure going back the other way. And we'd lost a 100-meter lead in a matter of 30, 40 seconds. So it was pretty tough.
I guess when you reflect upon the season and coming in second, obviously getting the black boils at the end there, obviously you want to be at the top, but to have 5 season finals is pretty impressive as an Australian team.
Yeah, I mean, we're now at 3 wins and 2 seconds. I wish probably we could invert that. 2 seconds and 3 wins would be nicer at this point. But no, we've got so much to be proud of at our team. I mean, the franchise and the team is incredibly strong. We've got unbelievable people involved, from the shore team to the sailors and everyone behind the scenes. We've got an unbelievable squad, and I've just got to be thankful that, we're part of an amazing team, and it's a quick turnaround, and we're back in Perth, and we start all over again and try to get our title back.
I guess, how hungry are you for next season? You know what victory tastes like, and you get to kick off the season at home. How special will Perth be as well?
Yeah, Perth is going to be amazing. Racing there is going to be the opposite of here. If you want excitement and drama and action, you're going to see it in Perth. I can guarantee that. And it's exciting that we're going to go back to an amazing venue, and it's going to be, full on.
How did you play that final, and how are you feeling about it all now?
Yeah, well, I think we went out and executed the final we want. We were like that top end of the line. Didn't quite manage to get the acceleration we had hoped for. So obviously kind of wide at Mark 1, and then took the route we want up the first beat to get quite a healthy lead, and then that one mistake at the top mark obviously gave the British a massive jump. So definitely bit of what could have been, could have pretty easily gone the right turn at the top and would have made our life a lot easier than it was. So, yeah, definitely a bit of frustration our end, but I think we've got to be proud of the race we put together and the season we put together, and yeah.
I guess as a season reflecting, obviously Leo was a new flight controller at the beginning for you and making another final. Like, it might be hard right now to think about how far you come, but are you proud with how you performed throughout the season despite this last race?
Yeah, super proud with how we performed throughout the season. We definitely had our ups and our downs. So, yeah, I think we'll be looking to continue to build next season and just take a step forward as kind of all the transfer noise now starts to unfold. But, yeah, we're super excited with the squad we've got. And, Perth's not too far away. There's not going to be heaps and heaps to change between now and then. But, yeah, we're excited to try and get next season off to a good start. We're definitely all hurting now, and I think that's kind of the exact feeling you want in these situations. If the team didn't really care about what we're doing, the kind of mission we're on, then I don't think we'd go through the hurt we are now. But yeah, super close. We definitely felt like we gave ourselves a really good shot, but cards didn't quite roll our way this time.
And I guess, you've raced so many things at the top level. How hard is it to win Sail GP?
Yeah, it's proven to be pretty hard for us. We've definitely, this is our third opportunity. Yeah, so I think we've won, well over 50% of the finals we've been in, but we still haven't managed to win a final. So, yeah, incredibly hard how the whole season gets decided on kind of one shifty kind of 10-minute race. But for us, we didn't manage to win the points this year either. So, yeah, that's definitely the goal for our team, is to really set that benchmark across the board. Give yourselves the best shot going into the final, and we didn't quite manage to do that this weekend, which was quite frustrating.
Nice shout out to Leo, and of course, going to be down your way in 6 weeks' time.
Yeah,
Middle
it's
of
not
January.
far. Offshore in Perth, it's going to, I'd hate to put the mocker on it, but I think the conditions in Perth are going to be complete 180 to what we just seen in Abu Dhabi.
I hope so.
Yeah,
We were talking about that the other day, the other night on the watch party. It's not in the river. It's actually off of Fishing Boat Harbor. It's in what the body of water. It finally came. I was having a senior moment on the watch party. I couldn't remember. It's called Gauge Roads, if I remember well, which is the body, the strait, the roads between the RHODES, between Fremantle, and Rottnest Island. And that's apparently where they're racing. I'm going to show a video of the artist rendition, at least, of what that's all about.
Right on the break wall there. So there's
right.
Big break wall, which creates like a natural amphitheatre, and it's going to be literally there. There's a pub to the left, which I've happened to sniff out when I was over there for the Moth Worlds, and great place to watch the sunsets and the racing there. And if we get the Fremantle Doctor, which is their sea breeze of an afternoon, and we get some nice short, sharp chop, it could be, the flight controllers will go from a drift fest in Abu Dhabi to over there. And the other thing we need to be mindful of, there's only two teams that are going to stay together after this event, right? Which is New Zealand and the Spanish. Everyone else is going to have new position changes. So, and I don't know what roles. There could be grinders or wing trimmers or flight control.
Now, why do you say only those two teams will stay together?
Because they're the only ones that haven't had people leave in this whole player transfer, this whole sailors transfer thing. New Zealand and Spain are the only teams that aren't getting new.
And do you think they're intact? Do you think there's no chance that they're going to lose people?
New Zealand and Spain,
yes,
they're locked in.
They're locked in.
Yeah,
is that a one? Is that a one hears?
That's a one nose.
A one nose. That's even better. Even I don't do one noses, Julia, not very often. Wow, Jody, that's why we have you on here.
Right.
There's going to be that many swaps and changes. And I think I mentioned last time when I spoke, I was talking to Nathan when he was here getting his inducted Hall of Fame award. He was he said, I'm just blown away by where people are going.
Mm.
You know, so it's pretty, it's going to be interesting.
And does this all wrap? Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Now teams have actually cashed up a bit. You know, most teams are fully funded, so they can afford to get out to the marketplace and throw some money at people.
And is this all happening between now and the middle of January, or will it continue into the season a bit?
It's happened.
It's done.
Done. So all the transfers and all that, you know, sailors will be swapping shirts out now, and then you know we're 6 weeks away from Perth.
Mm.
And right as we speak, Artemis are in Abu Dhabi doing a 5-day training block. So their whole team is there. And
do we know who's on their team?
Yeah, we haven't seen photos of who's on
but
their
you must
team
know
yet.
from your mate Nate.
No, I don't, and that's truthful. I didn't want to push Nate into that corner because I didn't want to be the one that throws it out there. My gut feeling is telling me that. But yeah, that's just maybe.
Hang on. Yeah. We lost you for a moment with the Zoom. You just said it was like a K-Ard moment. You said, "But my gut feeling is," and then it cut off. So your gut feeling is what?
That Goobs will probably come across to this
Ian Jensen
team. Ian Jensen from GBR, because I mean they've had history before sailing together with Artemis, but he's also very loyal to Goobs, very loyal to the GBR team. So it wouldn't surprise me if he does go with Nathan, and then it wouldn't surprise me if he stayed solid with GBR either. So that's a full-on sitting on the fence moment right there. But and then I think you'll find he's going to have some local. This is Artemis have some local Swedish sailors on the grinders and whatnot. So, but I just think every other team except for New Zealand. Well, I don't think I know every other team except for New Zealand and Spain are going to be have new people in their rosters.
Okay, we're going to get to the U.S. Sail GP team in just a minute, but let me wrap this up here because bravo Zulu to these guys. I picked them as my sentimental favorite, but I, like a lot of you, said I thought Slingsby would win, and of course he didn't. But congratulations.
Two Australians on the left and right there, Tom.
Yes, you kept saying that during the watch party. We didn't miss that, but Ted Ryman got it right. Gordon Smith, a couple others got the call on the Brits. John Emmett, I think, probably had the Brits as well just because he's so key. This was the picture that got circulated because Rolex, the big sponsor, and sadly, the one of, if not the most important people on the team gets blocked out of this picture. And Sailing Anarchy didn't miss that, and they ran a piece today called Hannah Who? Gee, what a nice photo of Team GBR at the prize giving from the latest Sail GP race. Sail GP and the Palms, the Brits, have been going out of their way to promote their inclusion of Olympic gold medalist Hannah Mills on their team, but when it came time for the money shot, she was blocked out of the photo by whatever officious blazer boy, the Rolex guy, that is. Of all the GD photos, that is the one that doesn't get left on the cutting room floor, ? Yay, women. Yay, inclusiveness. Yay, F right off. And that's the editor of Sailing Anarchy writing that. So I thought we'd come up with another photo to make up for that.
That's a good one.
And there's a brilliant article on the Sail GP site today. Headline, Mills reveals calm under fire breakthrough as Emirates GBR clinch grand final victory. And it's a terrific article. I commend it to you. And I even found a video of Hannah.
Oh, good.
Okay. Okay. It's wild. Yeah, I can't actually believe it. You know, it's just everyone's so good, the level's so high, the racing's so hard, and you know we prepared as well as we could for that final race, and we kind of executed what we wanted to do. Obviously, didn't win the start, but after that, I think sailed the race we wanted to sail and to be proud of, and came through with the win. So yeah, just absolutely buzzing for the team.
It's unbelievable. I still think. You know, I look back on the season and go, we gave away this there, we gave away this there. You know, it feels like we could have done so much more. It's nice that, you know, we won on all the stats of the events and everything. So to come away and then take that pressure and win that grand final, we went into it going, well, ultimately, if someone said, you know, you went into a lottery with a 33% chance of winning $2 million, you'd snap their hand off. So we just gave it everything, and win or lose, we would enjoy it.
To win the Impact League, win the season outright, and then win the grand final, you know, what a huge achievement for the team. They've done brilliantly.
Yeah, and Hannah is very impressive, Alistair Murray, of course, saying, and Hannah deserves far more kudos. Blake Middleton is saying, yay, Hannah. Chris Exley.
Yeah.
Joe Holtzman, very informative interview with Jody. And Andrew Davola, a.k.a. Dolly, is saying, I'm super excited about the Rue crew change.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Jody knows, but like me, can't say.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, last chance to break some news here.
Actually, I don't. I've purposely been trying to stay away from the rumor monger bill, because it's just all of a sudden you become the the leak in the ship, so to speak, and I don't want to be that person. So I'm more excited about watching it all unfold and then digging into it from that way.
Well, whisper it to Julia after the show, and we'll let her, because everybody knows we love to break news here. And
all right, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
We'll do a one hears and not attribute our source.
So the big change for the Ruse, right, and you didn't hear this from me, is Russell Coots is going to be on the helm.
There we go.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Hannah deserves more kudos, and back up, further up.
Yeah.
A great comment from somebody, where was it, about Hannah. I know, Steve Gruber. It's down at the bottom, the very bottom comment. When we actually get to hear the comms from the boats, almost never. I agree. I wish we'd hear more comms and less of the commentators.
Mm-hmm.
But then how many times have all of us said that?
Yes.
When we actually get to hear the comms, Hannah Mills is so steady and analytical, she has to be I think more than a positive force, Steve. Okay, we'll get to the American team in a sec from, one hears and otherwise. Just a little celebratory video to wrap up, to put a fine point on it. They deserve to be happy. Ben, I'm really happy for Ben. I hope this gives his America's Cup effort a boost.
Ben actually looks quite well. I seen him in Sydney at the Sydney event this year, and he looked so stressed out.
Mm.
He looked so stressed out, but I briefly had a quick chat to him, and and he was inundated with all his corporate stuff, but he looks good in that video.
Yeah, he does. And I'll just say that I'm happy. As I said during Barcelona, he ought to have gotten himself off the boat and let Dylan sail the boat, get the time to do it, and then go deal, as Dennis learned, as Paul Kayard learned, as others have, Russell learned. Go be the CEO, but don't try to also be the skipper and the helm and the chief cook and bottle washer. And then finally, Jody, you mentioned this team earlier, and we've just got to give them kudos, because they did finally win an event. They came on strong. They had a super strong event. Mm-hmm. And as Magnus said yesterday in his Rule 69 blog, for the fabulous Danes, they stole all the prize money with 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, and a 10th. That's remarkable consistency that was unmatched, especially by the Big Four, who simply couldn't catch a break and couldn't get out of their own way in the fleet racing. For Australia to finish 11th, it kind of tells you everything, with 2 OCSs, on-course side, premature starts, early starts, 2 tenths, and only 1 result in the top 5. Mm-hmm. It was, however, enough to secure a place in the final after the Spanish misfired spectacularly, making what was already a difficult algorithm, impossible. That was Magnus the Magnificent writing in his Rule 69 blog yesterday. And again, Jody, Julia, bravo Zulu to the Danes. And
yes,
I'm sure
that's an interesting point with the Danes, Tom. They already had all their changes for next year. They're already on the boat. Rasmussen, who's going over to the Swedish boat as a grinder, he left. Lukey Payne's gone on to Denmark. Ed Powies comes from Australia. He was a reserve grinder for Australia and never really got a got a go behind Kinley Fowler and Sam Newton. So Ed's jumped across to the Denmark team. They've got a new coach in Victor Payer and a full-time coach. So they implemented them changes for this event, and their mindset there was, because they don't have any practice time, why wait till next season? Let's just get it done now. That's one more race under the belt for the new team. So that they went into this regatta with a whole new configuration, and Nikolai, the way he trims the jib and his comms off the boat. I think you'll find if they're a happy team, and a more settled team, they'll be certainly pushing towards the top end next year.
Absolutely. Great stuff. I'm sure glad you came on. It was a bit of a last minute ask, but I realized when I was pulling this together that if we didn't have you on, we'd be missing a lot of the inside scoop that only you can provide, Jody. It was brilliant. And the only better thing was if you were back on the main commentary. But thanks again for doing.
I don't think that'll ever happen, mate. It's the way it is now. It's set up in England there, and the boys and girls can sit in the booth over there, and
well, one never knows. But if not, we'll do more. Yeah. We'll do some more watch parties, because Julie, I think that worked out really well. Yes. And Alistair Murray's asking about Team USA, and let me go back up to a comment, because we've got Bill Menninger on here, the father of one of the top teams, and it's way above up in the comments. So I'm just going to read it. Bill Menninger saying Team USA got some penalties on board cycles. No one really noticed, but they had to keep moving backwards in another race they might have done quite well in, because the commentary was so much about the top three season contenders. It just looked like they moved back because of bad decisions or slow boat speed, when in fact they were over penalized. Bill thinks they were wrongfully penalized, and no one cared and no one noticed. They are improving more than people realize, and even in the light air, I thought the racing was good. The shortened course made the time equivalent to a windier race and held audience attention, at least on Sunday. I would agree with Bill, certainly on Sunday. What are you hearing, Jody, about the USA Sail GP team and the addition of H4, Harry Melgus IV?
Not a real lot. They're a pretty hard team to get inside of, to be fair. They've had a lot of changes this year. They've gone through 3 wing trimmers, and they seem to be searching for that golden nugget that's going to push them towards the front of the fleet. And I think the changes that they were doing, they're probably looking in the wrong spot. So bringing in H4, and there's nothing, I'm not having to dig at Taylor Canfield at all. He's just won 2 world titles in the last month on different classes. He's no mug at all.
Yeah, but, the M32 world.
Yeah, and the J70s, I think.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's absolutely no mug at all. They just need to settle on a few positions, and then their luck just needs to turn a little bit, because I think they're, whether they like it or not, they're probably the flagship team for the league, because it's an American based, and Larry's an American owner, so they'd be looking at that team wanting them to be successful, and the pressure of that. They've got all the high profile sponsors, and they're very, very strong on their social medias, and out there a lot, which puts probably more eyeballs and more pressure on them. They just need to get a bit of a core group of people together and just start really dialing into the sailing side of it, and it'll turn. It always does. I mean, look at Phil Robertson, mate. He's been out of the game for 12 months.
Yes, he comes in
back into the Italian team, and instantaneously, it just needs that one little ingredient in the mix to make it work. And Phil had a blinder. The Italians had a blinder on this weekend, and it's like he's been in that team for 6 months. So I don't know whether having Harry Melgs there behind Taylor will possibly be a good thing, I guess, because now he knows that his job's not safe. Or whether, look, don't be surprised if Harry Melgs doesn't come on the helm and Taylor goes into flight control or wing trim or something like that. You know what I mean? It might. Remember when Rome Kirby had the American team? You know, they tried different things, and it might just not be his position, but it can be probably more beneficial somewhere else in the boat. You know, whether he's can keep his eyes out of the boat or focus on something else and just get someone that's good at just driving and not micromanaging the rest of the team. You know, I don't know.
Really good point.
I'm not within that team, so but you know, it's not working what they're doing, so they need to change it up.
Now, you taught me how to pronounce Macquarie.
Macquarie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Alistair and others have gotten me to pronounce Wimbledon. And we're going to get you to pronounce H4, Harry Melgus. It's a German name, Melgus. Some people say Melgus. It's not. It's Melgus. It's not Melgus like a J. It's Melgus. Mm-hmm. And
we sail on a Melgus 32 here in the lake.
There you go. Perfect. And so we'll keep getting our pronunciations proper. What was the other one? I had to learn some Aussie something or another. And Alistair corrects us and says it's Gage Rhodes, R-O-A-D-S, but that's an Australian spelling for the Greek word R-H-O-D-E-S. Mm-hmm. I know that because when I lived down there. Oh, now Alistair's saying, make me say Kookaburra. Kookaburra. Cook.
Noisy bird.
The noisy bird.
Yeah.
Claire Harrington is saying in both world championships that Taylor won, he was not on the helm. Yeah, but he was helping the lady who was on the helm. And
that's what I mean. He might be a better role. He might be better in the Mike Buckley role, you know, the strategist at the back.
Yep, good point.
And keep the grinder at the front. And we all know Harry Melgus the fourth. Melgus,
like G-U-S.
He's a great steerer, you know, so throw him in on the helm and let him focus on that and throw Taylor in at the because he's a world champion match racer. He's no mug.
Really good point. Really good stuff. Yeah, so and they're all saying, great guest. Thank you, Jody. Pleasure for your insights. It's great to have Jody on the show. Ryman is saying Alan Long got to happen more often, and I agree. And Jody, you and I and Richard Gladwell and Magnus the Magnificent, we have a little plan, don't we, for something we're going to do.
Yeah, we're going to go to the pub and have schooners of beer.
You guys can. I'll have a schooner of water. But great stuff. And we're all going to be watching, if not there, a lot of the Aussies, I'm sure, will get over to Frio for that, the first event of the 2026 season. And here is that brief video to put a wrap on it. In Frio, the middle of January, the 17th and 18th, better known as Perth, the most remote capital city in the world. Fabulous town, beautiful city. And Andrew Dali Davola wants you to come fix his front door, Jody, if you see that in the comments. Come fix my front door, Jody. And Fritz Mueller,
I ain't gonna use it.
And Fritz Mueller said, "Thanks, Jody. Your presence keeps me a fan of Sail GP." A nice way to wrap up our Sail GP segment.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
John Rogers, this is Coach Rogers down in San Diego. Jody knows it all. Really fun to listen to, indeed.
Absolutely.
Julia,
sir.
Nice to have Jody with us again. We got to do it more often. Thank you, sir.
Ever on.
All right, thank you, everyone. I'm going to go to work, otherwise Rhonda's going to start throwing things at me. So I better.
I hope your man cold is better.
It will be.
Okay, we'll get on. We got more to cover here. Thanks, Jody.
Thanks.
Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. I'm out. Thanks.
See you. Okay, that's of course Jody Shields down in Wanji. And we have covered that. Let's get to John Emmett's report. We got 15 minutes left here before our ostensible two-hour show. But Coaching Corner with John Emmett, he's just wrapping things up in Villa Moura, which we said on Friday's show. In case those of you who don't know, it's down in the Algarve region, the Algarve, southern Portugal, and one of the nicest spots in the world.
It is.
In the Algarve, southern Portugal. And here's his report.
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Well, that's the end of the Villa Moura Grand Prix 1, and lots to think about. It's big old regatta, but it just reinforces my thoughts that sailing is, of course, and it goes without saying, a weather-dependent sport. And I do feel recently, and I will do some short form videos about this, there's been a lot of pressure to get the races in. Whereas personally, I think quality is more important than quantity, especially if, for whatever reason, we have fewer races. So first of all, bravo Zulu to Tom and Jodie for doing the Zoom meeting to follow the Sail Grand Prix. I really enjoyed that, and it worked out perfectly for the final day here in Villamora, that we got the opportunity to finish watching that, and the Brits won. So I had a very happy sailor that the Brits won, but I don't think that necessarily helped his results. But this idea that sailing is weather-dependent sport is very important, because conditions matter, and you have raceable conditions and unraceable conditions. Let's see if they're going to let me into Villamora. This is where it all goes horribly wrong. Oh yeah, I'm in. So if you look at something like Formula One Grand Prix, which I've used before as an example, people are happy with the idea that if a driver or a team dominate, they can actually win with 1, 2, 3 events to spare, which sailing, I think, is the same. Sailing should be a consistency sport, and that's a really important thing. But also, they don't race, maybe due to safety, but they don't race in unsailable conditions. In other words, if there's really heavy rain on the track, then a race would be postponed or abandoned. I think that's really important. Now, of course, there's the devil is always in the detail. There's discussions. Gosh, some people are getting their ribs off early about what constitutes fair sailing, because I think if you've got foiling boats, then you really need foiling conditions. And of course, some of that comes down to luck. Some of it comes down to venue selection. And then even with non-foiling boats, you have fair conditions or not. You can start in 2 or 3 knots, but whether you're going to get fair racing is another topic. And within that topic, of course, we have Rule 42, which is the responsibility, I guess, of the event director. Is it a saleable event? Down to the race officer, is it suitable conditions to start? To the jury, are people obeying the rules? And then to the sailors, as a self-policing sport. But I do think we need to think very carefully, as a sport, about what are we prepared to put up with in terms of having good racing, and also how that affects how the sport is seen. Because obviously for media, there's going to be that pressure to have racing starting on time. But we have weather stopping play in other sports, and they're used to running, the replays, etc., etc. And SailGP and Villamora are like, first day, pretty questionable conditions. But as always, comments very welcome. I need to go and help a little bit with pack up, but sail fast, sail safe, have fun, and I'll try and see you on the show.
John Emmett, get to the front of the fleet with John Emmett Sailing, the coaching corner. And a reminder that we're all pushing hard, including and especially the Aussies, to get Paralympic sailing back in to the Paralympics, parasailing back into the Paralympics for Brisbane 2032. I saw Mag News today saying in his Rule 69 blog that there's a chance that we'll get it back in as a regular sport, not just as a demonstration event. I hope he's right. That was news to me.
That'd be wonderful.
But we shall see. Thanks again, John Emmett, for your report. And we can carry on here now to our our penultimate segment, Julia, which is the 18-foot skiff club championship going on down in Sydney. Race 6 weekend was this past Sunday, and it was too windy after a number of very light wind or extremely strong wind days so far in the Australian 18-footers 25-26 season on Sydney Harbour. 2 days Race 6, that was Sunday, of the league's club championship was finally expected to produce a more traditional 15-knot northeast wind, perfect weather for the 18-foot skiff racing conditions. Here we are talking about racing conditions and weather yet again, Julia.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
There we are.
It is a wind sport.
It is. That was the expectation, but sadly, the ongoing weather situation became an even worse than the other race days, and the racing was abandoned after the first lap of the 3-lap northeast course when the wind turned to the west and freshened well beyond the fleet's ability to continue with their big number 1 rigs. And there they are. So obviously the points don't change because there was no racing this past weekend. Point scores remain the same as they were, with Yandu leading on a total of 20 points. Balmain is in second on 25, followed by the Rag, and sixth are equal in third place on 26, and the other teams in the points down. But here is some interesting video that I think you will enjoy very much.
I hate this camera so much. It's just
from 3 weeks ago.
That's it there. It's windy here, eh? Standard rag activities.
Hit a noon, so we had enough of pitch bowling, eh?
Oh, it's a capsize. Oh. Rag and famish. Just huge nosedive. Massive nosedive.
Are you okay?
I thought I was going to leave my nut. Fun and funny the first couple of times, but now it's just... Right, I thought I sliced my leg off. Ryan, when you're done, undo the camera. And put it in the water. Get rid of the camera. No evidence.
Balmain, the team of last week, with a first and a third. Boy, this puff's just come out of nowhere. This is going to test everyone.
The readings out at Penrith were like 30 knots, so going out is a big decision whether to go the number 1 rig or the smaller rig, number 2. So we went with a big rig today. Thought we might get a race in before the westerly comes through. We're the first to the top mark, which was pretty exciting.
Balmain leads. The weather mark the first time.
All snakes and ladders coming downwind.
As many snakes as we just slid down, we'll climb the ladder again.
And then we had the big westerly front come through, so the abandoned race for the day.
Racing has been abandoned for the day. This breeze is going to get fresher and fresher out of the west.
Bit tricky coming in, few swims, but all fun and games out there.
The breeze is
they're
all
over
the place.
Shore Partners about to capsize.
They're gone.
They're over. Beat up to the mark if they get into this nor'wester.
Yeah, breeze is starting to switch.
Yep. Spinnings will be down this next leg from Shark to Clark. So it's Vycobi leads, Shore and Partners second. Then the third will be Fisher Paykel. Boy, this puff's just come out of nowhere. This is going to test everyone. I think Shore and Partners and Yandu are the wise two. They've gone home. This is going to be really fresh. Very windy and choppy harbour. Racing abandoned for the 18-footers. I can see about 4 or 5 skiffs completely upside down or capsized. And it's just getting fresher and fresher and fresher. 25 knots perhaps now. It's going to get even fresher. No.
This is not good.
No.
All teams returned to shore, and luckily no one was hurt.
Recently. I forgot I'm mic'd up.
Again, this was 3 weeks ago.
Finn, please, Finn, don't do that to me. Come on, everyone. Did Nick Daly seriously put green tuffs on both sides of the gym? I think we need more rig, boys. It's not low end here. What do you boys weigh? You're what, 80, Tom? 85. Yeah. You put on weight. Keep it up, 12, go up. Thank you. Oh, hello. Sorry. Logan, you got to tell me about them. Can't see the red 12? Tell me, Logan. Muncie, you need to pull your truck lines down. Dude, it's going to be repeat a week 1, for sure.
Chris Mueller saying 18-footer TV has great coverage and commentary, and they do. I had a note this morning from Richard Gladwell, who, you know, he's a Kiwi.
Yeah.
He's not an Aussie, but he loves to see great sailing, and he sent a note saying, you know what? There's Dolly DeVola. Of course, he's one of the commentators, along with Peter Shipway. I'm biased, but how good is the 18-footer coverage? But Richard, no less an authority and a keen observer of the sport for 30-plus years, all manner of sailing, yacht racing around the world in different classes, large and small,
yes,
is saying, why don't we just get on with it, put the 18s into the Olympics, have a man's division, have a men's division, a female, a woman's division, male, female, 2 different divisions, and get on with it. This stuff is so exciting. The boats are so interesting. There's a lot of action. There's a lot going on. They are fast. They don't only look fast. They are fast. Just get on with putting these boats into the Olympics. A one design 18, or even maybe a little variety, but still. And I think he's right, because I still find this, and everyone I know finds this racing about as compelling as anything. Yes. Doesn't matter if it's in 5 knots or maybe not 25 knots, but in 20 knots, they can sail. And apparently they got blown out this weekend as well. But the New South Wales Championship will resume next Sunday, the 7th, with races 3 and 4. And the Sid Barnett Jr. Memorial Trophy will be held in conjunction with the racing. Now, just to wrap this up, there's a really cool brief video out about how the league puts this all together, not just the sailors, because they get a lot of coverage, but everyone else involved. And it's an amazing village of people who put on these 18-footer league races.
So it all looks pretty cool, right? It's a pretty flash production that gets put on every week, and there is a huge amount of work that goes into it.
So much happens that you just don't see.
You know, aside from all the sailors, but they get enough attention. People behind the scenes, people like Finn, photography, highlights videos, interviews, looks after all the merch. Sign up for Patreon and you can get 10% off. Yes, that was a plug. Then we've got the race volunteers with volunteer rescue boats, race committee on the start boat. We've got the guys that go out and set the course. Then we've got the sail media team who broadcast everything.
3 commentators, the captain, Piers usually on the camera, Dylan on the drone, Shits is the producer.
I mean, that's a lot of people. And the canteen workers keeping all the sailors fed, which is incredibly important work. Then there is a massive, massive amount of work that goes into organising the sponsors every year. Not quite as much work as Henry puts into his traps.
Be careful, my traps might be too big for the camera.
Fixing all the breakages, which the club pays for. Tell us if it's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands that people have broken this year.
Somewhere in between.
Then we've got people like Scarlett, who is the race organiser and makes sure the official side of the racing gets done. Jenna on the Spectator Ferry is the live commentator, and the Spectator Ferry itself, which is basically run at cost to allow people to go out and watch the 18-foot skiffs race. So it's pretty awesome, right? If you froth the 18s, if you love the production, if you'd like to help us keep this thing running, please go check out our Patreon and buy a sailor a beer.
And you wonder why Australia has such a great sailing history, tradition, wins the, breaks New York Yacht Club's 132-year winning streak, does very well in the Olympics, punches way above their weight in terms of the population of the country. And she, they didn't, there's a nice video and they're asking for contributions to their Patreon, to their patron, but they didn't put anything on the end of the film, so I did it for them. Here's their mission. Mm-hmm. The aspiration for the club today is unchanged since its inception decades ago. We exist to support the growth of 18-foot skiffs, showcase some of Australia's best sailing talent and conditions in the racing on Sydney Harbour, provide a welcoming club for members, guests, and any visitors, and to be helpful and active in the local community. You can get in touch with them at that address and that phone number and that email address. Bravo Zulu to them. Give if you're in this, today's Giving Tuesday, and if you're not inclined to give more money to us, the Sailing Illustrated, or even if you are, think about, there we go, think about these guys too.
Double bay.
And gals, because fabulous group of people running a fabulous circuit and a league down under. So enough of that. It's their national sport, Steve Atkins is saying, right? Well, I'm not quite sure. I think cricket's up there and maybe rugby and maybe Australian rules football. But what a fabulous job they are doing down there with that league. And that gets us to the final leg, the last leg, Julia. And today is, again, something really special. I actually have 2 videos, brief videos.
Good.
And here is the first one, because tomorrow, and they're all about Oman, they're all about this inclusion championship that World Sailing is running for the first time, starting tomorrow in Oman. And here is the introductory video.
The first global edition of its kind, led by Oman's unmatched excellence. The World Inclusion Championship, held in Barcelo Musana Resort, 30 November to 8 December. More than 155 sailors and 37 nations. Where determination meets the ocean, where inclusion becomes power, where Oman leads the wave. This is more than sailing, it's a global movement.
And as Magnus said in his Rule 69 blog today, there are a lot of people pushing really hard to work. And World Sailing, too. John Emmett says good things about what World Sailing's been doing in their para department, as does Magnus in his Rule 69 blog today. He wrapped up that report by saying Oman he talks about how the whole year has been really a fabulous year for the sport, from the Admirals Cup to, Sail GP to this to that.
Right.
And I think he's right. We complain, we pick nits with the little bits in the sport that are here and there that are crotonic, but that's what we need to do to improve it. But this has every it has every indication that this is going to be a big success and great for our sport as well, because Magnus says Oman is the highest of high water marks for sailing in 2025, and it's on all of us to talk about it, share it, encourage it, and celebrate what is looking like being something extraordinary. All credit to World Sailing's para committee and the teams doing the hard work on the ground. I wish the World Sailing Inclusion Championship nothing but the best. Utterly inspiring, and that's Magnus the Magnificent writing today in
great
his Rule 69 blog. And here is another quick video about that event starting tomorrow. Yep, good words from Magnus, good work from a lot of people, including and especially John Emmett, para department at World Sailing, the Aussies who are pushing hard for Brisbane, us here helping, and thank you to all of you who've been so supportive. And dare I say it, bravo Zulu to World Sailing. It sounds like they've really got their act together on this one, and the Omanis who are supporting Julia this event. With that, Julia, we're to the D block, and your favorite person on the show, I guess he's still alive, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and we've got a few today. They come in sometimes in dribs and drabs, and sometimes they come in like a fire hose. Most Americans don't realize how big North Yorkshire is. This is one, the senders sent this with a message saying, one for Mr. Pindar, a.k.a. Lord Scarborough.
Yes.
Because as you can plainly see here, North Yorkshire is bigger than all of the United States.
Yeah, of course.
In this graphic. And that was sent by Hamish Ross down in New Zealand. Vice Commodore Claire Harrington said, Dear had sent this one in, which says, Dear Henry, where were you? We waited where were you? We waited and waited, but finally decided that they took off from the moon, left him there. That's an oldie but goodie. That's sometimes how I feel. I was told that after a vasectomy, I wouldn't have kids anymore. Imagine my shock when I got home and they were still there. Only Pedro, foiling sailor, can send something like that in. Peter Stevenson. Now this one you'll like too, Julia. Babe, you smell good. What is it? Anti-inflammatory cream for joints. It's about my speed these days. Although I don't, luckily, knock on wood, I don't have any arthritis. I don't need anti-inflammatory cream. I need some other creams, I think. Now I could have flipped this, but I didn't have. I almost thought maybe you got to put the picture at the bottom up there under first day of sailing. First day of sailing, and then the last day of sailing. I guess if you're out in the ocean by yourselves and not well prepared, you might look like that. Ted Ryman sent that, and he also sent this one. Stop looking. Somebody crossed out, I don't know what was there, but crossed out the word, put in boats. Stop looking at boats. Why can't you look at porn like a normal husband? Ted Ryman. And finally, Julia, because this is a drinking show with a sailing habit. This came in. We haven't run one of these in a while, but I thought we should today. No drinking before 5.
Right.
Peter Taylor sent that from New York City. And of course, we always end with Blake Middleton's all the smartest people sail Lake Middleton up in God's country in the land of 10,000 lakes.
At
And
10,000, 11, and 42.
Yeah, there was some more that he had. And boats is improperly punctuated, Clark says. Yes, indeed, Clark. But not only 10,000 lakes, but probably as many scows up there in scow country between Wisconsin and Minnesota, maybe a few in Illinois, Michigan, Texas. Yeah, we appreciate you all tuning in. And Julia, you like to say,
yes, do not miss the opportunity to like, follow, and share all three of them, and encourage people to look at our...
And help us out. Help
Yeah.
the algorithm both on YouTube and on Facebook. I paid the co-streaming bill. We got Restream for another year, so we
Yay.
can co-stream to both platforms. And comments, of course, are welcome in replay. As we always say, thank you. Thank you for your support, especially those of you who have joined via patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated, or whom sent us a thing or two, whether it's a contribution to the Croutonic Corner here in the back or a check in the mail. It helps keep us on the air because this is viewer-supported media, as I'm sure you all know. Thanks very much for your support. And continuing, also thanks to those who gave us an audio file or a video file or an image for today's show. And there is the long list once again. Julia, final thought?
Yes. Oh, I still continue to be amazed at the breadth and depth of our sport. It just keeps going.
Indeed. And wasn't Jody terrific?
Oh, he was.
Get him on here more often. Maybe the preview show and then the post game show, the post game show for Sail GP more regularly. If he's,
Yes.
the boy's got to work. It's what time is it down in Sydney now? It's 10 o'clock, so we only kept him until, he can still work from 10 till 10 o'clock at night. He can put in a 12-hour day. Rhonda wouldn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Tierd DeYoung. Thank you, Steve Atkins, Rick Banro, and all the rest of you. Yeah, that was I think our best Sail GP wrap-up ever, thanks to Jody. We hope you have a great rest of your week wherever in the world you are, and we hope you'll join us again on Friday, same time, same channel. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.